talk about policing, and I know that Price, you was when you got out of school, that's what you went into the academy and you became a officer. I know it was some years ago. You're a former Dallas officer, right?
Right.
All right. When you was in the academy, what was some tactics or to subdue a assailant or a suspect? What kind of tactics did what was taught to y'all at that time? And I know this was years ago, but what was some things that they taught you in the academy?
Well, let me just say this. You have a force continuum that you have to go, through. When you train that, hey, whatever you meet out there, you have this force continuum. You have to follow. You have to go by. I don't think that's used today. I think it's more fear. And a lot of times you get people, because they are so far detached from the neighborhoods they may be put in, that they really don't know how to connect with the people. So if I'm gonna go with my force continuum, like just the mere walking up to a car and I look into this car, I'm gonna ask you for, driver's license, insurance card. Okay. But my hand is nowhere on my gun. That's that fear. If you always have to have your wits about you, of course, in this job. Of course, the job is dangerous. But if my first move is to get out the car and have my hand on my sidearm, then I'm already causing a situation. I don't know what type of condition this person is in. I don't know who the person is, period. I just know who I've just pulled over, and all I can see is the back of their head, their silhouette, if you will. So once I walk up to the car, a lot of times people are already looking back, wondering, okay, what type of cop, is this person gonna be? Is he gonna be one that's mild-mannered and professional, that's gonna handle the job in the type and show the type of professionalism all police officers should? Or you gonna get this one, like Brother Lionell said, to where I'm really leaning on what my parents taught me about this type of person. And that's what I think all of them act like. So if that's the case, once I get out the car, that training, of which I had where I have to go over this force continuum, kind of goes out the window. Now I'm winging it. And that becomes a problem. That's why we have so many situations where a lot of our brothers have been shot, because they didn't use that professionalism, that training that they had. They just automatically flip. This is what my parents told me about this black person. This is what my parents told me about this Latino person. And they reacted. And when you react like that, bad things are going to happen. I will say this. We were taught to restrain to where you were put into a position where whoever you were dealing with, if you had to put them out, it wasn't a choke. It was actually a restraint move used to where it would subdue the person, but it would not kill them. Okay, but you have to be trained to know how to do that. And then if you're going to do it, that's up that level force continuum. You see what I'm saying?
Hey, you said it was called what, Price? You said it was called what?
It was called the lateral restraint technique. That's what it was called.
Explain that.
It's where you position yourself to where you're not choking the person out, but you use your arms more or less like almost like a set of pliers, a vice grip, to where you place it on the part of the neck, which causes the oxygen flow. You stop that oxygen flow, but you're not choking to the point where your arm is not in the position to where you choke the person to death. Okay.
Gotcha.
Once you subdue them, once they go out, you're in control to where you can ease that person to the ground. Of course, if they're bigger than you, y'all may both go to the ground, but you're not doing it to where you have that intent of trying to kill. Once that person goes out, you do what you can to resuscitate, get them back up, get them to where they're coherent, to where your instructions are, okay, they understand what's going on, you get them to the car. The whole point is to subdue, not to kill. Now, if I am in a different situation which calls for me to go to my sidearm, then I'm going up that force continuum. I was supposed to go through those steps of progression before I ever get to the point of having to use a weapon to take somebody's life. Mm-hmm. See, you don't see that too often now. The first thing you see, they normally go straight for the sidearm because of the fear, because of that disconnect with your community. You have these ideas on which you've been given when you were younger. Your parents gave you certain ideas about these certain groups of people, so you carry that. So you got that racial profiling. You have that ideal in your head. Okay, this is a black man, so all they know is to be violent. They deal in drugs, gangs, and guns. That's all you gonna. Okay, or you have an experiment. You think the same way, that they dealing in drugs, or they in a gang, or they're running away from something over from their homeland. You see what I'm saying? These ideas, which automatically creates a violent situation when you can have the most humble person sitting in that car if you doing a stop, and you just causing that conflict. You causing gasoline to be poured on the fire, if you will, because the first thing you did was get out your car and your hand is already on your starter. You see what I'm saying? It creates a fear not only for the officer, but for the person that you're about to go and have this situation with. And again, a lot of innocent people have been shot because the fear, because of the disconnect with the officer and his community. If I have another officer with me, as we saw in Floyd's situation, the senior officer was the one that applied the move that choked and killed Floyd. You have two other officers that don't have any, well, not any, but don't have a lot of experience. They're in a situation they've probably never been in before. They're telling this officer, because I did hear one of the officers say, don't you think we need to roll him over to his side?
Yeah.
But they didn't take any action. That may be a technique that they're teaching now. I don't know. I've been out of it for a long time. I don't know. But if that's the case, he knew it was time to roll this guy over. He wasn't fighting. He wasn't, any type of threat. You already got the handcuffs on him. Hey, it's time to turn this guy over, get him in the car, and do what you need to do. There was no professionalism there. There was more of, to me, that was a hate crime.
Okay.
That was a hate crime on top of murder. Yeah. And from what they're telling us, that Floyd knew this guy. They worked with each other before. But we don't know what type of relationship they had. Did they have a high and by, or he actually knew the man, on first name basis? We have no idea. But that still doesn't negate the fact that this man has been trained. He has been taught the way to use these certain techniques, and he went above and beyond what he was told to do. And he just disregarded everything he was trained to do. Disregarded that. Somewhere it became personal. Somewhere that became personal.
Became personal. You're right. You can see it. You can, when they showed it, when they were trying to tell him to get off of him, it's almost like he looked at him and like, I ain't getting off nothing. And he had that look on his face. And like that pain compliance, like he even went in further, he dug in deep, but he already had him subdued. Yeah. When y'all talking about earlier about, thank you, Price. That was really good, man. We appreciate that knowledge. Because you said that you call it the force continuum that they use, force continuum. And so y'all talk about earlier, like it's in you and it's put in you. It's as parents put this in you. It is, do you believe or do you think, or you have, because this country, we got here in 1619 when the first slaves hit American soil. And I mean, that's said in 1619. All right, it could have been, time before that, but I think that's the first recorded slave, 1619. And this country was built on those type of tactics anyway. I mean, you see how they done the Native Americans that was here before, and how they continued with the slaves, when they enslaved the Africans that got here from the motherland. And those things went through Reconstruction. When Reconstruction happened, they had the different things they put into place, and then the Jim Crow era came along. They were just talking about, they just moved the statue out of, I think, Love, either DFW or Love, the state trooper statue. They took that because there's a book that's coming out, and how right here in Mansfield, the state trooper hung a black dude from the amphitheater of Mansfield High. He's just hanging from the school, Mansfield High. He a state trooper. He a Texas Ranger. That's what he was, Texas Ranger. And it shows all these, Caucasian males walking up under, going into school, in and out of school, and he's up under the shade tree with his foot up in the shade tree, like he's exhausted from the work he just done. And it's a black man, it's a black young man hanging in the distance, hanging from the roof of the school, in front of the school. So these tactics, these murderous tactics, is not only ingrained in the parents, but it's ingrained in the fabric of this here, United States of America. It's residual effects that has been in place since slavery, since 1619, since the inception of this country. And so, and you can tell who, I mean, you can somewhat tell who's it in. I mean, who you can see it. You can see it in politicians. Some of these guys are not going to change. They not. They don't see it. They don't care. All they care about is getting in office and keeping that power and keeping that force. We saw it in the 60s, and when the sheriffs had all that power. Remember, the sheriffs had all that power. When King then was marching off the bridge and they shot them with water hose and set the dogs on them and things like that. Beat them, just walk up to them and just beat a black man, a black woman for no reason at all, just because of the color of their skin. And so I said all that to set it up to say this. Do you think that we have to scrap the whole police way of doing things and implement a new way of policing globally?
That's a good one.
Yeah, it is.
Go ahead, Mommy.
Okay. No, I'll just think the first two words that come to mind, Price, is who is going to be willing to relinquish all that power and control? We already know that America is the largest prison system in the world. We already know that. We already know the disproportionate amount of people that are in prison, particularly from a male aspect, look like us three. We know that already. We know that back in history, once slavery was quote unquote abolished and things continued on, that we know that there are men, again, that look like us three, that were sent to prisons to, unjustly, the majority of them unjustly, sent to prison to become a part of that system. And in turn, I think it was a gentleman talking about the 13th Amendment today and how there is a part in there that states that once you, and help me out, gentlemen here, that once you are in the system, particularly in the penal system, the prison system, that part of what was considered slavery, it's okay to exist under those laborers and torturous laws that were in place, because now you're relinquished, your rights are relinquished as an everyday citizen, in America. And again, help me out with that. But there's the gentleman, it was a white gentleman, white brother was talking about that today on channel 127 on the Sirius XM about that, the Progress channel. And so like I said, I didn't get a chance to research it, but in depth for myself, but just thinking about what he was saying, I said, see, I'll get it once I get a chance to, I'll check that out. But I just thought I'd bring that up. So that's my take on it, as from an immediate aspect. Price, what's your take on that?
I like the way you brought that up, because how can you change the mind of people that's always have told themselves, their children, their children's children, that everybody else is inferior to us? When we talk about power, as far as America is concerned, anybody of color has never had that. Even when Barack Obama was president, he didn't have it. It was all smoke and mirrors. And the reason why I say that is because you had so many people, though they may not have came to the forefront and said it, but they made sure that a lot of things that could have been fixed or could have been in progress to be fixed, they made sure it was not going to be fixed, at least not by him. Also, control. That's a powerful word within itself, because if I've been taught all these many years that I'm the superior race, everybody else is under me, then I have to have control. What happens if they feel like, whether you're Hispanic or whether you're African American or whether you're anything other than my Caucasian European counterpart have control, what happens? Fear and chaos becomes a part of the situation, because they don't believe, and they've always had this, I guess, this undertone, because of the things they've been taught for so many years, hundreds of years, that if control was to ever go to others, then they would be in trouble. A lot of people will say karma. I hear that, the clients we work with always talk about karma. I say, well, God's word is you reap what you sow. If you're going to reap what you sow, then you have to know if you do what you're doing, it's going to eventually come a time when that is going to come back on you. So that builds the fear. So there's no way I want to give up my control, knowing that one day it's going to come back to get me. All the things that I've done, and when you think about it, that's a lot. That list is so long and full of so much hate, pain, blood on so many people's hands. How can all of a sudden I want to give up that control? All those secrets, all those things that we've done. Because then I have to stand in front of the mirror and say, I did those things. Now I got to come to my Black brother, my Hispanic brother, my Asian brother, my Native American brother, and ask them for forgiveness. America ain't never been built on that. Never been built on that.
Yes, yes.
We've gone so far to say, at one point, in God we trust, to everything that deals with God, we got to remove it. So, as far as, your original question, the whole system has to be redone. The question is, who can we put in those positions that we can trust to actually be honest with the people, be truthful with the people, and then do the type of justice that we as American people actually want. I think those are the three main things that has to be a part of whatever council or whatever government we come up with to restart this system. Because this justice system has to be redone. It has to, because we're talking about serious things, but to be a little sarcastic, if you ever look at the statue of justice, justice is blind. It has a blindfold on. The scales are never even. You know, I looked that up. When was that statue made? I think it goes all the way back to the 1500s, might be the 1400s. When that statue was created, that statue always had a blindfold on and the scales were always uneven. This system was never created for anybody other than those who felt they were the superior race over everybody else.
Yes.
You have to do away with that. So yes, that system has to be redone. How are we going to do it? It's going to take a lot of honesty, a lot of good people willing to stand up when things are wrong and speak up, regardless of what the consequences are going to be for that to ever occur.
Gotcha.
Yes. Yes.
So I was looking at that. We used like the 13th Amendment.
Yes.
So I looked it up just to put some context to it. It says, while Section 1 of the 13th Amendment outlawed chattel slavery and involuntary servitude, except as punishment for crime. I think that's what you're talking about.
Yes.
It says Section 2 gave the U.S. Congress the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislations, right? Black codes. The year after the amendment's passage, Congress used this power to pass the nation's first civil rights bill, the Civil Rights Act of 1866. The law invalidated the so-called Black Code. Those laws put into place in the former Confederate states that governed the behavior of Blacks, effectively keeping them dependent on their former owners. Congress also required that the former Confederate states to ratify the 13th Amendment in order to regain representation to the federal government. Together with the 14th and 15th Amendment, also ratified during the Reconstruction era, there go that Reconstruction era, the 13th Amendment sought to establish equality for Black Americans. Despite these efforts, the struggle to achieve full equality and guarantee the civil rights of all Americans will continue well into the 20th century. And we see it now. We still equality, economic equality. Yeah. You know, we are fighting for those things. And that's the thing mostly. When you think about it, man, give me some economic equality. Give me some economic inclusion. Give me my 40 acres during that Reconstruction era. Give me that 40 acres of mule that we supposed to get. You know, give me my reparations. Give me my reparations. Give me my reparations. I don't need you to put my reparations in a bank for me. I need you to give me my 40 acres of mule and let me do with it what I want to do with it. You know? And so that's that thing again. And like I said, going back to what we were talking about earlier, like I said, should we do away with this policing, the way that we police? Should we do away with it? Because here's the deal. I'm gonna tell you this. These folk, man, reason why this stuff is going on, because they understand that before too long, the dominant culture is not gonna be the dominant culture anymore. And this is straight up documented things that in 2042, 43, that they are no longer going to be the dominant culture. Mm-hmm. So, like you said before, you know, I heard y'all talking before, you know, who want to relinquish that power? That you are no longer the dominant culture. Mm-hmm. that the world is going to be, because you see it now. It's more people walking around here ever before in the time of my history that in biracial relationships. There's biracial kids. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like everybody going into one particular way of look. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
You were seeing this. And by 2043, and this is documented, that they're no longer going to be the dominant culture. That means ideologies are going to change.
Right.
And it's coming. And they're fighting against this. Those few that we talked about last time, those few are fighting against this thing. All right. And so that's where we are now.